Hi there, sweeties. So today, is it Tuesday, right? I never know really. I start out bad for this chapter, the 10th rule by Jordan Peterson. But also these, I thought about calling them maybe Tuesday talks. How boring word. What boring words, but it's correct though. At least I talk. But maybe it's a bad day, honestly, to have that on Tuesdays. Anyways, since I called it Tools, Tuesday Tools, before, when I started out and was very ambitious like that, my other channel, but it feels like, especially when I've been talking about Wicca a lot and so on, it seems like tools should always include those things, and you can of course include anything, but somehow it feels better to call something else. But yeah, anyways, to the whole so I get through this sometime. 10th rule here, so it's express yourself with precision. Oh, that would be great, and I don't manage that a lot, I think, but I mean what I'm saying and so on. So, but then again, I talk around it a lot. But words themselves, he means also that it is the whole simplifying of it that makes it even possible to talk about it. So, and you have a good point there. But yeah, I feel that this, even though I really try to be more so than most people I know, actually say what I mean and mean what I say. And so still, you hear how I talk here, and that's my common random way of talking, I guess, in some ways. I don't speak as softly generally though. But I like to clarify things. I question and question and question until I know, or at least it's not many double meanings in something someone says to me. Then I maybe they don't even mean that then, but at least they said one thing, not 3-4 different things that can't go together. But then again, things are paradoxical, and yeah, oftentimes I search meanwhile I speak. Maybe I should be quiet until I know. Or maybe channel things more here, maybe without saying so, because this is very much, I guess, my ego as well, and me just randomly. I try to focus on things that I find meaningful and that I think could be helpful for others as well. Some substance in it, but because that's what I'm drawn to, obviously, and have needed. Yeah, we will see where it goes, but I'm glad you're here with me. At least one seemed to at least like, and then I think maybe you listen through it, although I talk for a very long time when I talk, yeah. It's difficult to drop. I mean, I try to be brief now, at least my latest video regarding Jordan's book here. But it's difficult because he expresses so many things in it, and you kind of want to go further and further into it. That's my feeling of it anyways. And I would love to hear more about what he really means. I think this is very brief to be him, actually. And that maybe also cause some misunderstandings on my part, I mean. Yeah. But still, there are things that bugs me a lot here, and I have mentioned those. But then again, also I come from a culture, also I am influenced by that very much and so on, and to step aside a bit and not question it because someone said so, but just to at least shake those static ideas a tiny bit, to maybe understand partly how others can view it from some different perspective. And so that's really great. And I really need to say this, although sometimes I also feel that I shouldn't share too much personal, private stuff, and so that would be great if I just kept it themes or topics or something like that. But that would be difficult for me. I just want to mention this, that I lately have been doing some shamanic work. I was pushed into it more, and I've felt that actually before. Also, things have been a bit, out of balance. Let's say like this, it did have been a little bit out of balance, and I didn't really know how to resolve that, and so that pushed me at last to dive further into some of the tools I already have, but haven't used them all, or at least not to in full extent. And there is no limit to it, but you can always go further and learn more and so on, or perfect it more when you do something. But then again, this whole shamanic work with tracking and extracting energies or entities and so on, that, and it's really hard. Sometimes I want to be this hermit, just working with myself sort of, or with these things, communicating, but keep a little bit more distance to others, and to do this work you really need to be more, some of it at least, you need to be more than one, both for the confirmation of it, as for a psychic as well, or medium. It's only in the conversation with others, in particular those that I don't know or that I don't know anything about, that I can understand something about it and the reality of it. So yeah, I need to do that more. These things even more, because they have helped and healed me so much, and they continuously do, and they're so valuable, and so many could benefit from it in a great way. So, and when it comes to general shamanic work, that, I couldn't say traditional because I can't do that, but the way I worked with it naturally, let's say, journeying and stuff, that I kind of follow. I get guided also by my totems and so on, and I get shown pretty much by guides what to do and how to do also. But also it's like almost like an instinct. Actually, I've heard something brief about it, and then I kind of know what to do. But I think I already actually did it when I was a kid, so not as clear purpose or intent with it though. But it had been a natural part of my being. But the Muna key and the way of working that's so embraced in love. Yeah, I know you. As I've told you before, you can work anything in any way, anything you can use beneficially, you can also harm as much with it. And of course you can use some of these monarchy techniques for that also, but it's very woven into it that it is the energy of love you work with and you heal. And I really love that so much. So that was really fun. And just the experience of it and the confirmation of it and so on, that really brings something. Although I know the truth of it anyways, still, it strengthens your knowledge, I guess. Okay, but that was not what I was going to talk about, but this is very this is well, in the air right now. It's a lot of that going on right now. And yeah, I probably will come back to certain things that I think about regarding various things that is conflicting to others. Personally, as I've said before also, to me it's not much of a conflict, although the way he describes it also in this chapter, Jordan, too many things is just too much. You cannot discuss all things, as well as you cannot actually have a belief structure of a system, let's say, that includes everything. That's at least my brain can't deal with that, so I need to limit it. But then again, within those, it's rather that the way we humans use it, or the way the way it is expressed, that I can not like. But it doesn't mean, that doesn't matter from what path it comes. It's just the energy or intent of it that then feels wrong to me. Whatever words it's let's say dressed in or clouded in sometimes. So but still, some things are new to me, that going back to more of the this time and this culture, more of the Christian, and more of the and a little bit. I've always been curious about that. That have been a mysterious path for me, always, like a mystic, I guess. It's not, that have been the case. But then again, so many other things have also been very interesting to me. So that have been a bit dormant for a while. More so, not ever totally though, but so I constantly meet that though, although it's not a conflict in me. I have to pull myself back to the here and now all the time. Also, when I hear about, oftentimes I come across things that regards. He talks about that. Also hear about the natives there in Canada, or some of them in this chapter, and sometimes when things come up regarding that story, and it comes up now and then because it's part of my family history. So, and I need to just let go and be loving, and I don't need to, but I choose to, and be in the now, and not stay mad because of those things, although it can easily get triggered. But as I told you before about the Sami people here in Sweden, as far as I know, I've learned as a grown-up about their traditions. I didn't get it from my ancestors or my grandma, but apparently they chose to not have their burial sites, or just not mark them and just forget them. And I find something beautiful about that. It's not that they are forgotten, it's just to let go of the past and move forward. And there's some sort of optimism in it, and also some sort of trust in it, because they were then, as all natives, I guess, or this belonging with nature, and that embrace of nature, that they would need someone to come there exactly, and to that place, and remember them. They would be in the hearts of those who remember anyways, and also from spirit they would be around. In spirit they would be close by. So free to be wherever also. But something in that is very beautiful to me. And there are so many magical things. Honestly, this week have been, when I think about it, it have been crazier in a positive way. That's not a way to use words with precision, right? But still a little bit. Everything have been very, very pushed into the shamanic this week. Yeah, very much so. And I feel so blessed and blissful in many ways, yeah. And sometimes when I talk here, probably someone think that, oh, yeah, pretend more or something. And that's sort of true in a way, because of course there are things that, or that's not of course, but in my world there are difficulties for sure. But I guess I have this, I don't know, childish also heart of sorts that make me happy easily. I just need to, like, when I look out now, I see the sun and a cloud. It's so beautiful. So I don't know. I just feel happy. That's kind of all I need. So, and that doesn't mean that I sometimes really, really don't feel like that, and sometimes wish there was some other person that you could really. I mean, I have those that I trust, although my ability to trust is not high, but that I trust to a very high degree. But there I go with, I guess, Dalai Lama or something, the Tibetan Buddhism or so, where they talk about someone that is your friend can, in a certain occasion, be your enemy, or someone that is your enemy or perceived as that, then anyways, can in a certain occasion be the one who saves your life. You really don't know. So, yeah. I guess I hold that as true. But I trust to a high degree on several at least. And sometimes I wish it was possible really to trust. Like more fully. And maybe it is. At least I've learned what it is. I didn't know when I was younger. And I didn't know until I did. And then at least I knew what that was inside of myself. Yeah, that's interesting. And I don't know really exactly why I chose this. I just love it. I've always loved this. But this picture here, the image here. But also because I think about precision in a way when I see it. Okay, shall I jump into it? But yeah, I just want to say that it's amazing how things just sort of fall in your lap sometimes. They just, I mean, I have this awesome communication also, that my spirits guides are just the most patient and loving and communicating, and sometimes I guess they are very tired of me because I'm not good at listening to them also, but they constantly guide me very, very clearly, and also some things come into my path that I really need exactly then and there. I guess that's the case for everyone, but at least I realize it. I see that, wow, this is what's happening here. Yeah, and I love that. And also I said that I wouldn't talk about actually there is so many other things that I come to think about now, but that I shouldn't talk about the election here. They tried to build maybe you can say build a government here in Sweden, and that seems troublesome. They really don't agree much, and they need to find a way to get some sort of majority and the budget and everything. But I will stay out of the topic overall, but it's interesting to see where this goes. But also there is this TV show that I've seen now a few times. Actually, now I wish I had seen all the previous series of that. This is those Americans that come to Sweden and to find their ancestors or learn about their stories and their relatives. I mean, to find them also now and see where they lived, how they lived, and so on. And it's really interesting, history-wise, also to learn more about the history of Sweden, of my country. But or as some people would even maybe question that. No, there are those who question that. That just happened a few years ago. That I realized that there are those who wouldn't. I wouldn't be considered a Sami to most, but I have it in my ancestral line. Yeah, but they would probably not consider that my country even then. How strange. Yeah, but most do anyways, and I've never even had that thought that it wouldn't be before. But then again, leaving that topic. So, the several things that are so different. For example, the fact that they were visiting some universities, and here we have all this bulgur and quinoa, and all kinds of the school food and everything is free, also in the university or wherever they were, like college, let's say, and no guards and no electrical systems to that. What are they called? Like the scan for whatever weapons or metal detectors. Yes, that's what it's called. None of that, just free and all the variations of vegan food and vegetarians for everyone to eat as much as they want and all that. They were so surprised, and I thought it was the case. Not everywhere, I know that's not the case everywhere, but somewhat I thought that, like countries like Canada, and I know that for example, when it comes to what is it called now, when people get sick and so on, it's much more difficult in the US, but a lot I thought was very similar. But also other things like religion, there it's very common. Like, I don't remember if it was 80%, or there are a lot of people that who go to church, honestly, or also believe in some sort of, I guess, form of Christianity. It was I guess that was the thing, or if it was just general overall faith or religions. I'm not sure now, but anyways, it's very common apparently there, and here it's just 8% that regularly go to church, for example, and they got all scared. They said, "What?" And he calmed them down, the one host of the show there, that we have some clue about rights and wrongs anyways, and so on, and many are still members of the church and so on, although not active there or anything, which is a little bit I'm not promoting that now, but it's now, and I've been to church more lately, and it's a little bit sad that it's not more. I don't think it's known actually what it is, and it depends what day and who holds the service and so on, but still there is so much. Both the architecture is so beautiful, and just a peaceful atmosphere of the place, and also just those ancient words of wisdom still, the even if one wouldn't even want to swallow it all, just that those tiny pieces of let's say gold and glimmers or something, that's just there are so many who miss out of it just because I think they don't even know what it is or how it is. And also those little, both larger choirs or musicians, so on, that it's like going to a concert sometimes, and they're brilliant, as well as there were some children's choirs, I don't know, a couple of weeks ago or something, and they were so cute. Yeah. It's something with a room, I don't know what it is. And I think about it when I go there, not to like, that I would want to be like missionary going out and pick people to church. It's not that, but many also come here from even other countries and so on, that oftentimes at least it's a very warm atmosphere and open, like, to anyone, and free if you don't have a lot of money as well. If you don't, you can give, but it's we have access to that, but many don't go there anyways. Those large churches are quite empty. And yeah, but also talked about the history of that. I knew about some history regarding, let's say, the natives and church and so on, and how bad they were. Not even bad, how horrific they were treated and so on. But and also I heard some of the ways that the Christian church behaved in many other aspects. But for example, those hearings and so on going. But I didn't think they were so bad. They could really shun people, and it was really horrible, actually, the way they acted. So those who weren't, those who had some faith and still didn't conform, let's say, or didn't feel that was right, some of those were the ones who also left for America, because it was sort of impossible to stay here without oppression from the church. And that may be why it's more flourishing there also. I don't know. Maybe some more heart and less structure is over there. I don't know. And it was forbidden to have any other than the state church. But now it haven't been for a long time, so there are many others variations going on also. But still, this program is, and they are so sweet, those Americans that come here, and the way they discover our country, and the way they with such eager and enthusiasm see things here. It's easier than to see this richness and beauty that is constant, sort of, but to see it more clearly through their expressions or through their eyes, or it's really interesting. And also that you hear certain personal stories about some ancestors or ancestor of theirs, and to follow that story, how it went and so on. And it's very lovely, and I've heard it before. People say, well, shouldn't you check that out? But I've been involved in I don't know what, so I haven't until now, and I really like it. Maybe it's possible to find those previous ones also, and then I could tell you a few differences. Some of you, I don't know who listens actually, maybe it's just one that is from Sweden or something, but anyways, anyways, it's interesting. So it seems like now every program there are things that are so different between the countries, and that I had no clue about, and they didn't. They were really surprised as well. And I've been a little bit skeptical, I must say, about the US. Maybe there are some of it still standing or have gotten worse, maybe in some ways, but through them, I part of me just, oh wow, they are so sweet and so lovely and open and I mean, everyone isn't anywhere. I mean, yeah, but many of the differences also seem very wonderful, actually. Yeah. And I think it was, no, I shouldn't say that because I don't really remember. I'm so bad at numbers, but I wonder if it was not like 2/3 of all Swedes that actually left when it was this famine and all that to survive. And so many have Swedish ancestors over there. Everything for Sweden, it's called, that program. Okay, I should actually go into this now, right? Part of it, I don't think I can this whole chapter now because I rambled too much to begin with, and that does not go very well along with what it says here. Anyways, express yourself with precision. To confront the chaos of being. To admit what you want and tell people around you who you are. And limit and look attentively and move. There is a word there that I sometimes, when I talk, he uses it oftentimes, but I forget the English word for it. It's I have this book in Swedish. Yeah, well, honestly, you can say actually forward. Yeah. I used to say up front for that word, but it's something else. It's not correct exactly, and that's not precision. So know that when I try to sort of quote or read something here, I translate it from Swedish. So, and I'm not a good translator, but hopefully some of the meaning comes through. And I also say what you mean so that you can find out what you mean, and that's interesting. That's really true also. And also what you say in action, or transform that which you say into action so that you can find out what's happening, and then be attentive and note your mistakes and formulate them and strive to correct them, and then you will discover the meaning of your life, and it protects you from the tragedy of your life, it says. I shouldn't read about him though, so I don't know. But you have to, he says though, but this is not all that agree, for example, solution-focused brief therapy and so on. But it says that you have to know where you have been in your life, to know where you are now, and so on. Otherwise you could be anywhere and so on. And and what's wrong exactly? What do I want exactly? To be genuine and and so on, to make that world that is possible to live in arise from the chaos. So, and you have to express yourself honestly and exactly to do so. And probably things are still difficult even if you try to be very exact. So, but then there are, I don't know. Yeah, well, I won't even go there. But as I said, it says no one can ever have a discussion about everything. No, that's what I'm trying to do sometimes. Yeah. So you should define. This is really good advice for me, especially, I guess. You have to consciously. He talks about having a lecture or something, I think, here. But to consciously define the topic. Maybe I should call them Topic Tuesday and Themes Thursday. No, I don't know. But actually, that's the word too. For a conversation, especially when it's hard. Otherwise, it will be about everything, and everything is too much. And that's true. Yeah. I will just swoop over though, because maybe I don't want to get back to a chapter again and again. So, and also you can read it yourself. And don't hide baby monsters under the carpet. They like it there and thrive, and they grow big in the darkness. And then, when you at least suspect, they jump forward and devour you. And then I start to laugh, but yeah. And you fall down into an uncertain, confusing hell instead of rising up to the virtue and clarity, or the sky of virtue and clarity. Yeah. So brave and genuine or truthful words make reality simple, unruined, you can say, well defined and livable. Yeah. Take great care about what you say about yourself and others, and about what you have done, what you do, and where you're heading. Seek the right words. Yeah, but he's poetic still in some cases here. I still think that the now can float by without... sorry, I can't even translate plunder. I don't know if that's the word. The future, if you clearly talk about its reality. Yeah, well, or steal, you can say that. And he takes examples here about when you try to hide away from responsibility and so on. And when you hear something, you think it could be a tiger, maybe it was just a squirrel, and so on. Oftentimes it is, but it's not sure though. But yeah, yeah. Because oftentimes it's not something really horrible. But even if it's horrible, oftentimes it's worse in fantasy. So yeah, and it becomes at least somewhat limited. It's not everything that is chaotic. If you put it into words, it has some sort of boundaries and frames. So through precision we specify. When something horrible happens, it's precision that differentiates this unique horrible thing that have actually happened from every other equally horrible things that could have happened but didn't. Yeah. Yeah. There is a lot of interesting things there. To, as soon as possible when a problem arises, and you have some examples here that are also interesting, but as soon as possible after it arises, yeah, that would be great, right? But oftentimes maybe that's not the case. Yeah. Psyche, the soul, and the world are both organized the highest levels of existence through language, through communication. And when something goes wrong, we have to question our perceptions and our evaluation, maybe is the right word, thought and action. Yeah. Because then chaos is closer by. But when things fall apart, we can bring structure and order through our way of expressing us. Yeah. And that's why I always wrote before. I do that sometimes now, but not as much at all. But I did that all the time because I had so many thoughts in my head. So when I put them down on a paper and I could write, yeah, I actually don't. I say that often, that I haven't met anyone who, but that's true. And I think most people who know me a little bit would say the same about me. My stepsister said I was born with a pen in my hand, and it's like writing is like breathing to you, she said. And that was what it was. I couldn't breathe without it. And also, I just needed to get things out of me. I could write like... It didn't even have to make sense. I just wrote and wrote and wrote and wrote. And I needed that. And afterwards, when I see situations where that was kind of chaotic, I don't think I still have them. But there was a situation, a violent situation where I was. And I've had those, notebooks, let's say. And I found them, and I found them way later and read about it maybe, I don't know how long after, 10 years after or something. And then I realized that was kind of the only straw that kept me sane, because I was so confused about the situation and everything. And I still saw how I gained clarity through what I wrote. Sort of, I could keep myself together somewhat because I understood more because of that. So, but I've dropped that very much, actually. Yeah, I don't know when that happened. Yeah, but I do sometimes now, but not in the same manner. Also, I don't feel the same need as I did, I guess. That was like a absolutely need. It was like a desperate need more maybe than something really fun or something, although I liked it also sometimes. So yeah, trust in the word and so on, it talks about. Yeah, and it also take these examples about someone who have been betrayed and trusted someone. That's really why I don't think I'm able to anymore. I'm not sure. But yeah, I don't think the world would fall apart if someone showed they weren't trustworthy. There are those that I really trust to a high degree, but and there are those that I trust on certain themes, let's say, or certain areas of life and so on. But I don't think there is. But you cannot say really beforehand, right? I'm glad if there are those that truly are who they are and stable in that sense. But I've met that and been not crushed, but very close to. And I don't think, and I didn't have a lot of trust before, and I didn't really even trust that person much. But still, that was such a shock, and I expect anything from anyone, honestly. And I'm not sure I can change that. Anyways, what does it say here? Yeah, and here also to talk about this whole infidelity that it was and so on would help, because it was specific things that fell apart, not everything. Otherwise, she would kind of lose both herself and her husband that was not faithful here, or had sex with some others and so, and also their past, was that even true, or so on, and all that conflict. But it's not everything that fell, and it's some convictions that you can identify that went wrong, and the specific actions that were false and not genuine and so on, and what were they, and how can they be corrected now, and how can she become better in the future, and so on. So otherwise you just drift into chaos, and I've been there. I don't want to go there again. And as I said, at some point I don't think that becomes a choice. I at least don't know how to choose to trust. I really don't. I just mainly don't trust, and that's not something I decide to not do. It's just there, and I don't know if that's even bad. but somehow I wish I could, though. Trust better, let's say, more. Or I don't know if I wish I would, but I wish it was. I guess I wish that others could be worthy of it. Yeah. Anyway, and why do you refuse to specify? Because when you don't define success and then make it more or less impossible, then you also don't define what is the opposite of success. Failure. Failure is to yourself, and you wouldn't notice if you not successful, and it wouldn't hurt. But it doesn't work that way. And you will then carry the disappointment and so on, and not feeling good about yourself, and even worse, to despise the world and everything, he says. Because when you specify something, you actually admit to that it exists. Yeah. Why refuse to investigate when knowledge of reality make it possible to control reality? And if not control, so at least status as an honest and genuine amateur. Yeah. This is I wonder if this is a quote that I've heard before from some literature or something, but it's what if something is rotten in the Danish state? Because this is translated into Swedish, so it cannot be because it's Swedish. I think I've heard this somewhere. I don't know why. But anyways, in the state, or what happens then, and yeah, it says is it not better to be purposely blind and enjoy to be happy without knowing and so on? But not if the monster is real. It's really not. Do you really think it's a good idea to pull back and not take the possibility to prepare towards this and to meet this rising ocean of terrors, and so diminish yourself in your own eyes as well? Do you really think it's wise to let the catastrophe grow in the shadow while you shrink and become lesser and lesser and more fearful? Isn't it not better to prepare and sharpen your sword and so on? And yeah, I can't translate this well, but to look in the darkness and then visit the lion in its den. Maybe you will get hurt. Possibly you will get hurt. But maybe the wound won't become deadly. Yeah. I don't read well. But yeah, I've just read recently also, I only pull back to... No, I can't even translate that from Swedish, let's say. No, I can't translate it. Never mind it. To kind of build force for forward motion now. But anyway. Why stay vague when it makes life stagnate and become dull or sad even? But to me it's also joy. I mean, almost like I would say it's similar to spirituality and to love and to everything like that lifts you up. I like clarity. I mean, that's a joy, and it's an exploration that even if it wouldn't be like for any good at all, aside from just that, I just like it a lot, and I always did, and I always dislike the opposite and was disturbed by it. Yeah. And if you don't confront the chaos and turn it into order, then you just have to wait, and the chaos will devour you. Yeah. And here he talks about all kinds of reasons why this man was not faithful and so on. And, did he just become fat and lazy because he was not even, desired, and so on? And maybe neither want to understand the woman or the man, or maybe they did hide their intentions in fog, or maybe they even called forth the fog to hide the things they didn't want to see, and respect gradually, slowly became contempt, but they weren't interested in even noticing it. So, but they have the whole pages here talking about various things. What could it have been like? Or maybe it was not about sex. Maybe every conversation between them had this man and his wife then had become a boring routine, since they had no common adventures that would liven up the I don't think these are the right words, the relationship, but also the degradation may have been easier in the moment than to take responsibility to keep this relationship alive. And no one find a partner that is so perfect that the constant need of care and work will disappear. And even if you found that perfect person, he or she would run and escape from so flawed you in what is this word? Well, be terrified, like so what you need more than you deserve is someone who's as flawed as you, or not perfect. And maybe if they talked about it quickly, when it started to become a problem, they were not satisfied sexually, or maybe that wouldn't have been easy, but maybe this madam secretly wanted it not to be, because she had this ambivalence against it, or God knows there a reason to it, it says. Or maybe Monsieur was a terribly selfish lover, maybe both were. And to discover that maybe could be worth an argument. Yeah, so on. And like to say things to find out the truth. Because if you just try to destroy or win, then that's not for the truth, it's just war. So, and you think you can't stand it when it's minor things that irritate you about someone or so on, especially those closest ones, yeah. But, and maybe, well, I won't go into all the examples, but maybe then the other person would get mad and have all the right to, or something, or maybe not, or maybe, maybe we just feed that monster under the carpet, being silent, even though it seems like peace. And he says this is wonderful though. It's little that in a marriage that is so little that it's not worth to fight about. I love that. Oh, I would love a man like that. Oh yeah. I mean, peace and being easygoing and everything is very wonderful, but honesty, yeah. What about that? Yeah. Negotiation. He talks about the various things also that is needed. Either you are a tyrant or a slave, or you negotiate. And since there are no tradition that we all agree upon, and that would also have troublesome or unreasonable limitations. But then there are just slavery, tyranny, or negotiation, and the soul of the slave will rebel, and the tyrant will be tired of the slave. So when it comes to negotiation, then it takes that both openly admit that the dragon exists. And it's hard to confront this dragon while it's still so little, so that it cannot easily devour this knight that comes to meet it, because then we think it will go away or it will work out, but yeah. And most people say they love that they want the honesty and everything, but truly very few I've met want it. Yeah. And from that perspective, not to just be the one being right, but from a really... And he expresses this very well in some videos also, that if you win and the other one is sad and everything, since you're going to spend your life together, if it's your partner or wife or man, then husband, then how would that benefit you if you just break that person? Not much. So yeah, the destructive force of not doing things, yeah. Maybe could this couple have had 1 or 2 or even 200 conversations about their sex life? Maybe should this physical intimacy without a doubt have been that they without a doubt had shared. Maybe that should have been matched with a similar psychic. Do you say psychic? Still, I wonder about that. But anyways, intimacy, which is often not the case. Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Chaos. It grows bit by bit, slowly, or maybe not slowly, but bit by bit. Anyways, small pieces at a time. And it talks about, and this, I won't talk about myself too much, but and also this talk about maybe it was too much to expect to. Because when they met, they had sex or made love, maybe they would say then, every night or so on, and maybe it's too much to expect or even to deal with. But maybe more than once this last 6 months or something, or once every 3rd month, the years before then. Should anyone that she would really respect, including herself, really stand such a situation? and so on. Yeah, and that is also one interesting thing. I'm not most successful for when it comes to love and relationships, but I know that. Well, I appreciate that I've learned something, hopefully, from it. But I think that's like there are some underneath ideas about what it would consist of, and you really need to know some of it that the other one shared. Some you take for granted. That, for example, I think is something that would be. I mean, some people just want to meet a friend, probably, and have some companionship and so on, and I wouldn't want that. If I was in a love relationship, I would want it to be that. And to be honest, and sometimes I doubt it because but there I think still it exists. Though I want to keep that hope a little bit, but you know, the other thing I know I don't want, because I want something to be genuine. I don't see any value in it otherwise. Aside from maybe if that person would be then super rich and have no claims whatsoever, and just I don't know. No, I don't even think that would be something I would like, honestly. I wouldn't want that, no. Maybe I could accept it, though. If someone wanted to give me a lot. No. But, no, sorry, I'm digress. What do you say? Digress? Yeah. Let's see. But just the fact that we have some ideas about what it means and what it means to us, but maybe if we don't express them like precisely to someone else, especially maybe entering into some sort of partnerships of sort, and then it can really go wrong, and even if you express them, actually, because I, for one, as I said, as I also see myself, I'm quite clear about what I mean and what I want, and I have been pretty more and more so in those situations because of the stumbling path I've been on before. But that doesn't really mean that the other one heard it. The other one can still be convinced of something entirely else. So, I mean, as for my sorry, I say two private things probably, but I mean, let's say like this without mentioning whom, but it's quite clear. But lately, but it was long ago that too, that someone would like enter into such a relationship with me and believing that I somehow would obey. That's interesting. Then you cannot have even known me from the beginning, you know. So, and that came up like long afterwards. Yeah, that was sort of something that I didn't agree upon one bit. Some sort of scripture thing about a woman obeying the man and whatnot. And I was like, what? Honestly. So yeah, sometimes the fog is really thick, and the projections and what we would wish or whatever it is there, is really making us totally blind to what's there. And I guess oftentimes I'm the one really doing that, seeing something entirely else where it's not. But I've also been subjected to it, and that's very surprising when it's so far from who I've ever been, and that could even, that someone even could think that surprises me so much. Yeah. Anyways. Yeah. everything is more complicated than you can imagine, yeah. And everything is affected by everything else, yeah. But I really work on this whole forgiving thing, and I think I'm getting there way better now, and I feel much better when I do. The other path is just very chaotic and destructive, but you have to allow yourself to feel. That's also another good thing with forgiving, I guess, that I just dismissed the whole topic somehow and thought that was forgiveness. And I didn't realize that I really had to be angry and all those, even, feeling worse than that, or at least admit that, to be able to forgive it, Otherwise, why would you need to, And that makes me really feel much better. I really don't need to cling to anything that I've been in the past. Although I keep it like examples sometimes when I talk here. Yeah. And he talks about, here, this I've talked about, didn't I? About, or maybe I don't know. Yeah, about memory and so on. And how the past isn't necessarily what it was, even if it already happened. Yeah, when things no longer work. I wonder if this is something that Zen and motorcycle maintenance, think about when I heard the word. We generally, if it's a car crashed down and we are, then our incompetence when it comes to the complexity of the car is shown clearly and immediately. And generally we need to go to those those experts that can repair the car and so on, and us to the simplicity of life. And that's the mechanic as psychologist, he says. Yeah. The world is only simple when it works. Yeah. I wonder, maybe I talked about some of this. Sometimes I really have no clue what I did last. How can I have such a bad memory? And he talks about patriotism here also. It's not only important to us, it is us. We become like it. He talks about also here it would be like hockey game, I guess, mostly, and also over in Canada, I guess. But when the whole arena or those around jump up at the same second, it becomes not through thinking. It's just when their team score, and it's like one. You become it rather than something you reflect on. So this group identification. Yeah, and also if we fantasize, you talk about. But we can stretch the boundaries of the self to family members, partners, and friends, and like children, of course. There. And is our father, son, or wife, or husband more or less necessary for us than the arm or leg? And he says the answer can come through answer the questions. For example, what would we rather get rid of, let's say, or or what should we sacrifice more to avoid to be separated from, or so on. So we permanently practice to stretch ourselves. And if we hold a tool of sorts, like something, it becomes part of us. It's just not, we don't just hold it, we feel with it, we become it, sort of. So the limits, the boundaries, are just I don't know. I don't know how to translate. Provisorian. I don't know. Sorry, I shouldn't try to translate words. I don't know what they are. So we would drown in the complexity of the world if we didn't aim with precision. Yeah. To not be overwhelmed, we need to do that. I would also say we don't see valueless things first and then we give them a meaning. We instantly perceive their meaning. And you have some examples of how that is and why, or so. And it talks about the whole it started to talk about actually computers and how it all changed and yeah. So what was almost like something that is very modern now will be just an artifact, kind of like in far back in time, in just a couple of years here. And it talks about the contract in society of trust and so on. That we trust that we will get the electricity and so on. And all this, that is just this interdependence is invisible when it works, but in a system that doesn't work, it's very apparent. So, yeah. And he also states that it's because of the lack of trust that is clear in society with corrupt systems. So, yeah, I mean, he goes way deeper into a lot of things here than I say, but yeah, I think it would be a great idea. So I wonder. No, I'll just leave that now. Yeah. So that was the rule number 10, parts of it. I hope it gave you something, and I think I should just end now then. And maybe change these a little bit. I totally adore to listen to those ramble or just drift when they talk. Because, I don't know, there's some genuine thing in that. It's not prepared, it's not thought through so much. It's just authentic. I think I feel that then. And then I think others maybe would feel that. But then again, maybe it's just disturbing. And maybe I could do better if I expressed myself with precision. But there are things also that are more precise if you don't express them precisely. Like, for example, paintings, let's say that. When you want to express something, a photograph can tell exactly in a way that this is how it looks. But then a painting that doesn't look much like let's say the area that is photographed or whatever it is. Let's say it's nature. And that in itself can reveal the truth of the atmosphere of the truth of it way better sometimes than an actual photograph that is more exact. And that is also one thing with this whole drifting. Words are like play also, but they are powerful. And so, well, I will get back to that maybe. I will just stop now. And much love to each and every one of you. Talk soon.